Okay, so the session is getting recorded now.
Welcome to the Rise of Blockchain panel led by Chintan. He's a veteran from Mumbai, having worked in the telco domain and for Reliance and leading the opinion on the blockchain in the industry. He's ranked as number 40th or something in the world. And his background is from the UC Berkeley Haas School, and he's a real what you call a leader in true sense. And we look forward for him to lead this panel and introduce his uh, people and then go on from there. Thank you.
Yes, Prakash,
Take over.
thank you so much. It was indeed a great pleasure, and I'm really excited to lead this panel on the rise of blockchain. Am I audible? Hello,
Yes.
just a
Yes.
quick check. Okay, thanks. So let's begin. So it's my pleasure to welcome my fellow panelists Vipin and Kedar for this panel discussion on rise of blockchain. So let me introduce Vipin. Vipin is an assistant professor of computer science at University of Delhi and chairperson of Linux Foundation Hyperledger SIG on Telecom. He started his career as a research fellow in CSIR, and then he also worked with CERN. His assignment at CERN was to implement load balancer as a service. So that's indeed an interesting assignment. Then afterwards, he worked with Deutsche Telekom and also part of the EU 5GPP initiative. He is organizer of CNCF Delhi, Hyperledger Delhi, open source networking groups in Delhi, well connected in the blockchain ecosystem, and open stack evangelist. So welcome Vipin, if you can just say hi to the audience.
Yeah, thank you, Chintan. Hi to everyone. Hello.
Thank you so much Vipin. And it's my pleasure to welcome Kedar. Kedar is a software engineer with experience in working in blockchain and smart contract system. He is also authored two books on solidity. So we have a published author amongst us, and at present, Kedar is the CTO of Escher. Escher is a Bitcoin trading company based out of US. So indeed, it's our pleasure to welcome Kedar. Kedar, if you can just say hello to all.
Thanks, Chetan. Hi, everyone. Looking forward to this.
Thanks. Thank you so much. And now let's get going. So, this is going to be the agenda, broad level agenda for the day. We will start with the trends in 2020, why and how all of a sudden all of us are discussing and hearing about blockchain. What are the reasons which are fueling the growth of blockchain? We will have a discussion on a couple of use cases. We will have a high level overview of a couple of startup companies who are on the horizon. Then we will have a brief on the career recommendations, how you can start your journey in the domain of blockchain and then be part of this ecosystem. What are the challenges the ecosystem is facing these days, and what are the trends we should look forward in 2021? So this is going to be our agenda for the day, and let me stop the share and start the panel discussion with uh, my panelists so that at least our pictures would be visible to all of you. And let's get going. So my first question goes to Vipin. Vipin, tell us about your blockchain journey and how it all started, and what is the favorite part of blockchain for you?
Thanks, Chintan. I started blockchain around 2016 with Bitcoin and Ethereum, and after working for 2 years in cryptos, then I moved to the more on the private blockchains, enterprise blockchains, and currently I'm working on interoperability solutions for blockchain, includes public and private blockchain. So for me, it's like it's a changing changing things. For example, I started with crypto and then come to know that it's really a very good tech where we can introduce like enterprise things. So yeah, this is my journey, and currently I'm looking into more on the research perspectives and interoperability and uh, and the and authenticity of these kind of like how we can provide GK snarks or like auditability more on that side. Yeah.
That's interesting. Thank you so much, and welcome to the panel. Kedar, same question goes to you. So, can you tell us about your journey, how it all started, and your favorite in blockchain?
Okay, mine was same thing. 2016, Bitcoin, Ethereum. Got involved during that. I stayed with cryptocurrencies throughout from there. I worked with. I wrote a couple books on Solidity in 2017. I got more into the Ethereum space at that point. I worked on a few startups that were doing their own ICOs and coins like that. I worked with a startup called Everpedia that had an IQ token that was trying to do blockchain-based like encyclopedias and prediction markets and things like that. So I wrote some code associated with that, and then now I've started working more on the trading end of things. So I've moved a little bit more into the finance applications. And I'm working with the company I work with now is like a Bitcoin wholesaler for the United States and South America. So if people want to come buy blocks of larger than 10 or 20 Bitcoin at a time, then we sell it to them in a wholesale rate.
That's interesting. That's interesting. So, welcome to the panel, and here is our first question. So, this question is for Kedar. Kedar, can you tell us what are the trends you foresee in 2020 and why we are hearing more about blockchain every day? And what is it that makes blockchain so important?
Okay, I've seen two primary trends in 2020. One is the institutional adoption of Bitcoin. So many in like the established financial system, like traditional financial system, Wall Street, banks, custody providers, exchanges, they've all started, regulators, they've all started adopting um, policies around Bitcoin, and many of them have started putting their money into Bitcoin as well, seeing it as like a true asset class, cryptocurrency as an asset class where you can start putting money in. So there's been a lot of interest, and like the price appreciation that comes with that. That's kind of been the backbone of all the interest that's fueled into blockchain over the last year. And along with that, now on the Ethereum side and on the private side, there's this new emergence of this field called like DeFi, which stands for decentralized finance. And it's the ability to do all of your traditional financial transactions directly on a trustless blockchain instead of going through a financial institution. So if you want to place collateral and grab a loan, very common thing you would do with a bank, you can go directly to a smart contract now with multiple providers. A lot of people do this. You send them collateral in the form of Ethereum or in the form of some wrapped form of Bitcoin, something like that. And you can pull out Tether, you can pull out different coins, and you can do financial transactions that way.
Okay, that's interesting. And Vipin, on this side of the world, I mean, what do you foresee? What makes blockchain so important, and why are we, hearing about blockchain every day? I mean, what trends do you foresee in India and neighboring countries?
So for me, like first question is why blockchain. So if you understand blockchains are not means blockchains are like old because chained hashes are nothing new because Git, as you know that in GitHub we already use this Merkle tree concepts, right? If you see proof of work also, it's not also new, right? We use it like like in 1974 we have a bulletproof protocols and a lot of other things. But if you see distributed if you see these distributed data stores and mixed together that and with distributed database, so it's look like blockchain kind of things. But what is unique in blockchain is like distributed trust, right? So this is what was missing before Bitcoin. So that this is the one thing that that attracts me, like if you can bring more distributed trust in the system, so you should use concepts like blockchain, right? And then we have a different blockchains as well. Like means it depends on the use cases. For example, if you need public one or private one, depends on the use case. So for me, yeah, initially it was crypto, but now it's look like more for me. It's like more on the public private side. But the good thing is that we have interoperability as well. So if someone from enterprise needs something to on public things, especially Ethereum, um, so if you see Ethereum 2.0, which is like proof of stake now, and this is like very good use cases. For example, so I was reading this Niti Aayog white paper and if you see this, they are talking about how we can use Aadhaar things as a proof of stake to the vendors, right? And then how we can write these transactions on blockchain. So yeah, a lot of use cases that attracts me all the time for this blockchain thing. So especially in terms of if you see in India, like many governments, I mean many state governments are looking into this. For example, recently, if you know that Startup India started their certificates on blockchain. So if you see these kind of things and land records and farmers stuff, like for example, if you enam, if you introduce blockchain in enam, so there are a lot of use cases which can be done with blockchain in India, and that's always attracts me.
Yeah, thanks. I mean, thanks for sharing this insight. And definitely, as I mean, I would also like to add here that in Indian market, government is the leading adopter of blockchain. So government is deploying blockchain net in all states, and almost 60% of the states have already conducted a pilot for their use case. And if you look at the kind of progress which is being made in India in government sector, especially, government is using blockchain for managing land records, for issuing digital degrees, for reconciling fertilizer subsidies, as well as health ID is also, I mean, being proposed on blockchain. So this is where blockchain in government sector is a huge technology which is, I mean, rising in next 2 years time. And coming back to our discussion, Kedar and Vipin. So the next question is, what are the popular use cases around you? Especially, I would request if you can cover one each in edtech and fintech. That would be really helpful. So, Vipin, if you can share one use case each for fintech and edtech around you.
So 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 I saw a lot of pilots, right? For example, I saw that how you can use academic credentials during job applications, right? And how scholarships can be managed on. This is one of the use case from Gujarat government, that they want to distribute this scholarships to the students. And also, if you know, in national education policy as well, if you know this academic credits and how you can transfer these credits on the blockchain as well. So there are a lot of use cases. I know that which is currently running by a lot of state governments. Others, if you see as a general, so I want to include, like for example, it's like a credentials you can make more trustworthy, or knowledge reward system. And if I see one more interesting use cases, like incentivizations of learning. If means it's a very good use case, if you see, because if we can incentivize in terms of crypto or something to the students, and they can learn and they can earn as well. So this is like a very different use case for them as well, because as you can see, a lot of gamers do all these things like incentivization when you play. So if we can do this in academia, maybe it's a very different use case, maybe based on the crypto. So yeah, this is few use case. Others are like, as I told you, that Startup India recently started this, and even some of the use cases to verify this academic records in terms of degrees and other things. Yeah, these are some of the use cases for edtech for me in the blockchain.
Vipin. And same question is for you, Kedar. If you can share your views on which are the popular use cases around you, and then if you can share one of the noteworthy use cases you'd like to share with us, especially in edtech and fintech domain.
Okay. In the public space, I've seen a lot of use cases around moving money out of local currencies into some sort of dollar denominated currency or Bitcoin itself. I know like we operate in South America, and there a lot of people want to move out of Brazilian reals or Mexican pesos or something. They want to get out of their currency, and there might be capital restrictions in place in the countries they operate in. India is actually another good example of that. If you want to move out of that currency into some form of like dollar or euro or something like that, but you don't have access to a dollar or euro bank account, you can move your money into Tether. So we've seen a lot of increase in demand lately for people who want to move their money into Tether, which is a form of cryptocurrency that's pegged to the dollar. In ed tech, I'm not too familiar with ed tech, but I know I've seen one thing in academic citations and stuff, ways of tracking in a trustless manner who's citing which papers and stuff like that. I've seen some work around that. And I think a lot of I've seen at least in America, the focus is more on the financial aspects still more than the education perspective. They're not as interested in, I think the technology development is probably going a little bit stronger even in India than it is here on the private side and stuff. Here, there's now a lot of thinking around how do you take the blockchain stuff and integrate it into the existing financial infrastructure.
Thanks. Thanks. And in fact, for EdTech, I would like to add that digital identity for students is one of the rising use case where academia is planning to issue digital IDs to each student so that at least all records, so all the academic activities are being conducted in a paperless manner. So entire processes college, I mean, their institutional CRM is being digitized, and then in the post-COVID era, uh, use of digital identity as well as proprietary in-house crypto coin that would be on rise in academia. Other popular use cases is asset management within academia because there is a hell lot of assets which are being owned by the universities, and it becomes very essential for them to manage it. And that is where for managing assets, a couple of academic institutions have started deploying blockchain. And as you rightly mentioned that for managing the IPR, blockchain is being used. On the fintech side in India, apart from managing the subsidy, government is also trying to put fintech as a layer for reconciliation, where multiple stakeholders can do automate their reconciliation activity, and that is how we are seeing the rise in these use cases, as well as the adoption is increasing day by day. Another popular use case is for the international trade in India. So Indian customs have started interconnecting their system with other global players who are already on the blockchain. So international trade is growing on blockchain. And let us move to our third point for the day. So, what are the rising companies you see in blockchain, and would you like to name three startups which you would recommend the audience to have an eye on? So, this question goes to Vipin. Vipin, if you can share a couple of startups and what interesting things they are doing.
Yeah, sure. So I want to divide this into three phases, let's suppose. So phase one is like a blockchain inspired solutions, right? So this is in between 2012 and 2020. If you see this, it's mainly focuses on distribution, encryption, and immutability. But if you see phase two, which is right now, which is like a blockchain complete solutions, which is like startups and other people are doing right now. So currently we are in, like, if you see this phase, it will go to let's say 2023, and this is more, it's like a developing phase, right? So till now, if previously to this, like it's like a more research phases, and now startups are maturing. And in the phase 3, if you see, this is called enhanced blockchain solutions, in which we will use IoT, AI kind of things as well after 2023. So if you see this currently, if I say this, Ripple may be one of the good remittance solution as a startup, maybe. Uh, Others, consensus is a good one, with backed by Ethereum as well, like Ethereum guys. And for me, private players, if you see, it's a foundation anyhow. It's a Hyperledger, or Coda is also a very good one, like for the finance kind of things. Yeah, I think these are the good companies. I think should grow more.
Great. And the same question goes to Kedar. Kedar, if you can share information about startups around you, what kind of companies we should look forward to, and how they are gaining momentum. If you can share your insights.
Yeah, I would agree that we've kind of started moving from a base layer, like research um, implementation, to more like an application layer development now. So the biggest startup, like I guess if there's a few like verticals around which people are operating, they're operating around exchanges, um, more like lend borrow protocols, that kind of thing. And yeah, those are the two big ones that I've seen right now. Coinbase is a big startup in the exchange space. I think we'll start hearing about them. Like, even if you're not into blockchain, you'll start hearing a lot about them now because they're filing for an IPO, and they'll be expanding pretty rapidly as blockchain adoption increases. Aave is an interesting startup. I think it's in Eastern Europe. They do lend borrow protocols. So you place, like a use case would be, you place Ethereum as collateral with them, and you can borrow some form of stable coin like Tether or something like that, and you can use that to add leverage to a position, or use it to just borrow money and have some sort of liquidity while keeping a position in Ethereum, things like that. And then the biggest in the decentralized exchange space right now seems to be Uniswap. They're also a really big company that's coming up. I think they're based out of the Silicon Valley area. And they're looking to do more kind of what Coinbase does, but they want to do everything directly on chain, so that there's no with Coinbase right now, you have to trust Coinbase. They're a trusted party in the system. Uniswap wants to go one step further and try and make the exchanges directly between counterparties, and without having to actually stick your money in the trust of somebody else at any point.
Thanks. From my side, I would like to add that a couple of startups like Certif ID, they are into issuing of digital certificates. Then another one is BitDegree. BitDegree issues digital credentials which can be verified on blockchain. So there is another startup. There is an interesting startup as far as the school kids are concerned. The name of the startup is After School. They are a UAE based startup, and After School is the world's first children's activity marketplace on blockchain. So this is an interesting company. And the last one I would like to mention here is Gigamesh platform. Gilgamesh is a knowledge sharing platform, and it is a social platform. So they are having a flavor of social media and the exchange of knowledge, building communities on blockchain. So this is how they are using these use cases. Moving on, I would need a recommendation from both of you, both. As an expert on blockchain, what would you recommend? How one can start their journey in this blockchain ecosystem? So there are two. I would request you to answer in two phases. One is, what is it that you recommend for a student, and what is it that you recommend for a professional? So Kedar, you may answer this, please.
Okay. The first thing I would recommend anybody looking to get into blockchain to do would be to read the Bitcoin white paper. It's the original thing that founded this whole space, and it's still pretty relevant. A lot of the concepts that came up in there are really base level concepts that are really good to understand as you learn more about the rest of the blockchain space. As a student, I think the best thing you could do is probably try and purchase some cryptocurrency and just get into the field that way. Read the Bitcoin white paper, or maybe look into what smart contracts are, that kind of thing. And then just try and get involved in the ecosystem itself. There's a lot of like exciting projects, and they all happen. Mostly they're coordinated on the internet. So if you're really interested, there's a lot of projects that are always looking for help. Smart contract development, coding, community management, all that kind of stuff. And for a professional, um, in terms of career opportunities, where I've seen the most interest right now is one still at like the research level in conducting like base layer research for how blockchain should operate. And secondly, there's now like more jobs available in the application layer where people who need to audit smart contracts, create smart contracts. It's very difficult to create a smart contract because anybody can access them in the public and they can be hacked. So it's very common to have a protocol go up and then it gets hacked and then people lose all their money. So there's a huge, what would I say, huge premium paid to like really good smart contract developers who can build a contract that cannot get hacked. And if you can develop your skills up to the point where you can get into that space, there's a lot of opportunity around there.
Thanks, Kedar. And I would request Vipin to share his views on the same.
Yeah, I agree with Kedar. Like Bitcoin white paper is the first step, right? And Mastering Bitcoin is also a very good book. And in my recommendation is like try to understand computer science subject with the blockchain. For example, how you see distributed data store, distributed consensus, distributed systems, so that you can understand. For example, if you say Bitcoin, Bitcoin is more on the, if you understand automata, it's like push down automata machine, and if you see Ethereum, it's like a Turing machine, right? So you can understand the power of two things, and you can understand the use cases as well. If you need stack only, then use Bitcoin. If you need power of Turing machine, then go for the Ethereum side. So it depends on the, means it gives you a more understanding. Again, I'm saying that go read the code. Like for example, go GitHub and go to GitHub, read the documentations. Like most of the projects are open source. You can go, you can contribute, you can learn, go to meetups, learn more. And yeah, that is, or you can go for the some MOOCs platform as well for initial learning of these blockchain kind of thing. But my recommendation is go out and just read the white paper of Bitcoin and then understand blockchain and go to the code so that you can understand more things.
Thank you so much. So mainly, I mean, I would say that the journey starts with reading and learning, and that is where I would also like to update both the panelists as well as audience that OTF, our host, is planning to launch a training course on blockchain. So stay tuned for the update, and you would hear from us. And together we can help you, handhold you in the ecosystem on blockchain. And now
I
we
want
move.
to add Chintan. I want to add Chintan.
Yeah,
So with
yeah,
this
go ahead.
course, we will give certificates on blockchain as well. Yeah,
Oh
just want
yeah,
to
so
add.
this is going to be a unique advantage, by finishing this course, you earn a blockchain verifiable certificate. So this is going to be a unique feature for us, and then we get to learn from industry leaders who have been there, done that. And so stay tuned. We would be sharing updates in time to come. And here we come to the last portion of our panel discussion of the day. So this question has got two parts. One is, what are the challenges? I mean, right now, until now, we discuss all good things about blockchain, how it is rising and it is impacting our life. But what are the challenges which are limiting the adoption of blockchain? So, Vipin, if you can share your views, and then we will have the second part of the question. So if you can tell us, what do you see that which are the factors which are limiting adoption of blockchain?
So for me, is first thing is scalability. Maybe yeah, that's the one thing that most of the blockchains face some issues, right? So that's why we have concepts of on-chain and off-chain. So yeah. Second is yeah, one thing for the for government perspective or adoption perspective is like confidentiality and anonymity. For example, if for example if you understand anonymity is like hiding the public addresses, right? Of the parties involved in the transaction, right? But confidential is hiding the amount to be transferred. So this is like a very two things that government always want to capture, right? To see that what people are transferring to what, right? Crypto is one thing that sometimes it gives a boom and sometimes, especially in India, to restrict you. So it's a both sides. This is, but if you see, if you go for the public blockchains to private, then enterprise blockchains, yeah, maybe like most of the governments are looking into the right now private, but there's a very good scope of the public blockchains as well. But if we have proper KYC kind of things, yeah. So scalability for me is the one thing that still stopping. Maybe proof of stake with Ethereum 2.0, we'll see some changes with this, or maybe some other stuff like sharding or something.
Thanks for sharing the views. And Kedar, what do you think? I mean, what are the factors which are limiting adoption of blockchain?
Yeah, like Vipin said, scalability is number one. It's been the problem for the last 3 years, and I don't know if there isn't a good solution yet. So everyone's looking to build different solutions around the space. Yeah, the ETH 2.0 subchains, there's lots of different proposals, and none of them have really stuck super hard yet. Aside from that, security, I think the net value of the hacks that happened this year is easily exceeds 100 million. Might even be closer to 500 million or something like that. So the ability to use like best practice securities and have like some sort of standard for people to use in terms of how they code these things so that people don't lose money. And then beyond that is more of the onboarding and education portion, where still the question from a lot of people is, what is blockchain? I don't get it. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. What is Bitcoin? What is all this? And slowly getting people aware of what it is, what it does, and how it can be beneficial to business or personal use or anything like that. I think we're still a long way away from getting to the point where people really understand what Bitcoin and blockchain and all these things are.
Yeah, definitely. And I would like to add here that apart from the skill gap, we also have the business case as a challenge because until now, everyone has got decent investment in the various legacy system, and then adding blockchain cost is something a big challenge for all business leaders, and that is where various blockchain evangelists are working into. So moving on to the last part of our discussion, the last question. Kedar, if you can share what trends you foresee in 2021, what would be the blockchain trends in 2021?
I think in 2021, the biggest story will be price. It'll be like 2017, where we'll see a lot of price appreciation. A lot of new users will come in based on that. And the primary trend will be increased adoption. I think, personally, I think like the technology is going to kind of take a backseat for a year again, because whenever the price goes rallying, people forget that the tech exists or what it is, and they just see the price. So I think again in 2022, we'll come back and we'll talk about all the new improvements that happened during the last couple of years, but for this year, it'll be all about the adoption and about price.
Thanks. Thanks, Kedar. And Vipin, what trends do you see in 2021?
For me, it will be interoperability. Projects like in Polkadot or Bisu, yeah, this will be our next thing, right? To connect private and public blockchain. So yeah, and again, prices, yes, one thing. Maybe more adoption by more investors.
Yeah, exactly. So higher the price is better better for the entire ecosystem, and that would fuel the growth as well as the acceptance of blockchain's technology. So thank you so much, Vipin and Kedar. We come to the end of our panel discussion, and now I would like to open the floor for question and answer. We already have one question in our chat box. I would request all participants to kindly share your questions, queries,
Yeah.
and in the chat box,
So
please.
yeah, hello Digambar here. I asked a question. Actually, so how blockchain and currently there are many technologies. The concern for the industry I see is security. Uh, Blockchain is for uh, companies and AIML and cloud. So how soon the blockchain is starting? I think since couple of years, and only banking is so far using it. But how it is applicable, how we can utilize very well into the cloud, because not as a service as a blockchain as a service, but for going ahead, because challenge in the 5G and data and video space, how we can use it effectively there, so that because as a cloud and open source contributor, I like to use it as an application, not as a user.
Yeah, as I already said that we are in phase three right now, right? As you said that we can use all these things with the distributed trust, right? More for the securities to add, like for example in 5G. So for example, in the case of network slicing, right? So we can use some kind of orchestrators where we can put a blockchains. We can use this in edge for the telecom. There are a lot of use cases, right? Currently, many people are doing POC over it. So yeah, so if you for me it's like more on the where we have like a enterprise consortium kind of things where we can where we are lacking right now with the trust. There we can use blockchain for now, right? And
Hello.
sorry,
How have you been?
yeah. So can you
Yeah,
hear me
yeah,
now?
yeah. Yeah, yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. So for me, that's what there are a lot of use cases with IoT Edge and 5G. So even we are in our telecom sake, we are looking into a lot of use cases for telcos and blockchains. Um, yeah, if you want to know more about this, let me know.
Yeah, so maybe I'll ping you separately, because I'm working on 5G and
Yes.
telecom with Ericsson, and we are also looking for many such a high scalable solutions. So
So,
Hmm.
if there is
to
any
add,
open source project, we can certainly take a look at it.
so Digambar,
Sure.
last month I delivered a talk on blockchain in telecom at event organized by AICT,
Okay.
and I would be happy to connect with you and share my views how telco system is adopting blockchain and
Okay.
what are the trends.
Yeah, yeah, certainly. Maybe I can send a chat. We can.
Sure, sure.
Thanks.
Thanks. I hope you got the answer. The next question is
Yeah.
from Chengappa. Chengappa is asking what would be the role of policymakers to encourage the use of blockchain? So, Kedar, if you can take this question.
Yeah, I think it's a very large role they have to play. Among regular people, among institutions, there's not going to be any adoption unless there's some sort of regulatory clarity around what you can and can't do. And at the moment, that clarity isn't there. So we need some sort of clear policy coming from the government all over the world, not just in India or in America or anything, on what can be done, what can't be done, what sort of compliance in terms of like anti-money laundering, and that sort of thing needs to be done. And then once the companies and the institutions have clarity on what needs to be done, then adoption can move forward a lot more rapidly.
Okay. Thanks. And the next question is from Ali. Ali, if you can unmute yourself and ask the question.
Sure, sure. So my question was I guess one panelist talked about the certificate using blockchain, right? So I was also planning on a similar application, but I was thinking about the costing factor there. Like how does it work? Will it be sustainable if we kind of give out hundreds of certificate and host it on like blockchain? So how does that work?
So I
So
would
yeah,
request
if you
Vipin to answer
yeah,
this.
yeah, if you take public blockchain, yeah, for example, Ethereum, yeah, it will be really costly. Means I can imagine to print one certificate, you will be like 100, 200, maybe more than based on the gas price. But if you take private blockchain, then that cost can be reduced a lot of like means it depends on how much decentralized system you want. For example, if you want let's say if you want to connect to 3 or 4 universities, then you can have like 3, 4 nodes. And I don't think if it's like let's suppose if it's Hyperledger, then that doesn't cost you much. For example, one laptop with internet connectivity with some servers means for the securities of the firewalls or anything else. But for the public one, then again it depends on the which crypto you want to choose, right? For example, Ethereum is really costly. Then you can choose some other public blockchain, but it all depends on the use case. For example, if you want only on the public blockchain, then US can be one of the solution. Means it depends which crypto you will choose, or maybe you can create your own. So yeah, maybe one ERC20 your token, then you can make it more public and then you can run. But in my suggestion, you should go for the private blockchains to reduce the cost.
Private blockchains are faster as well as cost effective. So that is where
Yeah.
it also helps you to deploy the solution, and it meets the purpose of the customer as well. Because if you are going to say that, hey, I'm going to charge you, $1,000 for issuing a single certificate, then probably it may not be economical on the customer side. And that is where you would find, even though you have built a solution, you would find it challenging to sell this solution. So that is where we recommend you to go for a private blockchain and deploy a solution. So Ali, are you
Thank you so
getting
much.
the answer?
Yeah. That answers my question. I had one more little question, if I could go ahead.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah. So I was also very much interested into blockchain. So I did a course from Blockchain Council, but that was like majorly theoretical course, which gave the overall idea, and it also like there was two courses, and I did both of them. And it was like a certification. So they then told me like I am a blockchain certified expert. But as far as the development is concerned, with that, like if I want to develop systems, then I cannot, I know everything, but then if I go out there and I try hands on, that is not quite possible. Like I get, lower blocks there. So I wanted to know if there is, some courses which could give me that hands-on exposure, maybe using a public service or a private service. If you could recommend some, courses which are available out there, maybe paid, maybe free, which we could use and go ahead with it.
Yeah. So Kedar, would you like to take this question?
I think Vipin might have a better answer. I don't actually know an exact
Sure,
course.
sure, sure. Sure, Vipin, over to you.
Yeah, for me, for example, if you want to learn, let's say Solidity, so I think you can go CryptoKitties. I think this is really good platform to learn. It's really easy. It means you can learn it very means as a game practice or something. So go for a CryptoKitties if you want to learn Solidity. If you want to run some private blockchain, that's my recommendation is go for the documentation directly. It's easy and just read out what they are doing, just read that and just you can run your own blockchain, private blockchain. And then it depends which language you choose. For example, if you're good with the Java or something, then you can choose different. I mean, they have a different frameworks as well, and depends. For example, if you want to go in the supply chain only, then you can choose Sawtooth. So there are a lot of frameworks. And if you want to means if you're good at C, then I recommend go for the Bitcoin. So that's the best coding practice you can learn from the Bitcoin GitHub accounts.
Thank you
And
so much.
I mean, I would also like to add here that you should sharpen your C, C++ skills before you formally get into blockchain. First thing. Second thing is, apart from advice by Vipin, You can also try YouTube. YouTube is full of videos, and then there are, rather than reading, you will be able to see the way they are explaining on the screen. They will be also sharing various practicals which you can replicate on your machine. So that is where I recommend you should explore YouTube in parallel. So I hope you got the answer. And last question for the day is by Prakash. So Prakash, if you can unmute yourself, it would be great if you can put on your camera.
Okay. Can you see me? Or at
Not
least I
yet.
can. Okay. I don't know why it's not showing up. Okay. No problem. Actually can hear me? Okay.
Yes,
So
we are now able to see you as well. Yeah, go ahead.
what I was thinking was Facebook tried its trick on the Libra, trying to bring Libra, and then it got shut down because of government policies. So, what do you see if the new government comes here in US? Do you see Libra with a return with a vengeance and take over some of the things which we were expecting it to do? What do you think as a
So
panel?
Libra will definitely come up. So they opened their systems now in Switzerland. So now they introduce as a CBDC maybe. So it's like central banking system, as well as they want to integrate this with the WhatsApp as well. So they are testing this with the WhatsApp kind of payments thing. So if it happens, definitely Libra, in my opinion, in wait for March and you will see Libra everywhere.
I don't think Libra is ever going to go back to their original goal, which was like create their own world currency and like take over the dollar. I don't think that's going to happen because the government's not going to allow it. They were very strict on like that's not going to happen. But they'll partner with them now, like you're saying, CBDC, that kind of stuff.
CBDC, yeah. So they change their faces, they change their ideas, and now they are changing everything. Yeah. I agree that that will not happen. The dollar replacement. I agree.
A lot more friendly, the new version of it. It'll be
Yeah.
hand in hand
Yeah.
instead of taking over.
Extension to that, Chinese are trying to do
Yeah.
something what CBDC does. They want to do everything yen based, and they are focusing on that. So, how do you see the play of that with US and China competing for that space? Do you see any possibilities there, and or is it the neutral one like Libra wins over those two?
Libra's
In
not going
my
to be.
opinion.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Please, Kedar. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, Libra. I don't think Libra is neutral anymore. I think they're like aligned with the government as they're doing it, and I think the Chinese want to push the yuan as like a currency just overall across the world, and this is just for them like a tool to do that with. Um, right now, I still don't think there's a lot of demand for the yuan because people don't trust the currency itself. So the tech might be very good from the Chinese government, but nobody trusts the Chinese yuan itself.
Yeah, I completely agree. Trust is the major issue with the Chinese, but yeah, they already lost it. Maybe they are the first ones, so maybe they can lead, but I'm not sure about that. Yeah.
Great.
Thank you.
One question from me, Digambar here. So
Yeah, Digambar,
actually,
go ahead.
so India, I think, banned Bitcoin and cryptocurrency in 2017, and they last year, I think this year, they lifted a ban at High Court. So in March
First,
2020, yeah, right?
so
So I think Modi government they did that. They did the ban, put the ban, but
so
currently
far,
I
so
want to see how India leverage the cryptocurrency and how it will be beneficial for us here because implementation is
Digambar, India never banned this. So only banks took this step. So voluntarily they did this, but that's what government as such never banned these things. They are
okay.
not saying this is a legal tender, but that's fine. But they never banned this. So they
Uh-huh.
are still learning that what should we do with this. So but only this is the concern for the RBI that even RBI never banned this, but that's what
Right.
due to concerns. So so bank took this decision that we will not. We will ask you questions, right? Where this money come from, how you deal with this, and that is why in 2018 or 19, like a lot of big exchanges closed down because of no bank transactions, right? So in my opinion, until unless government is still looking into this, I'm not sure whether they will ban it or not. But as such, India never banned this. So yeah, RBI
No,
tried this, but they can't.
So anyway, so while we have clarity, but there is certain gray area as well, and we being a law-abiding citizen will always look at the guidelines which are being issued by government from time to time, and stay away from unknown cryptocurrencies at least, because in case of any
yeah,
grievances there is no redressal mechanism. So that is where even if you try to take a risk and trade into, but there is no complaint because these exchanges and these cryptocurrencies do not come under jurisdiction of government. So that is where
okay.
the caution is. So anyway, thanks Digambar, and here we come to the end of our panel discussion for the day. Before we wind up, I would request everyone if you can put on your camera. So I would like to take a group picture. Had it been a face-to-face event, we would have taken a group picture or we would have clicked the selfie. But in this virtual mode, we will not be in a position to take a selfie or a group picture. So I would request Chengappa, Parth, Nikita, Vipin, if you guys can put on your camera, Shubham, Ali, Namrata.
How do you take the picture then?
I have a trick, I'll just take a screenshot and then we are done.
Okay, cool. But are you seeing all of us together? Right now I
Yes,
can see.
yes, 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 yes. So I can see Shubham, Namrata, if you can put on your screen, please. Vipin,
Yeah.
yeah, Vipin is already there with us. It's just, sorry. Yeah, we can see Namrata as well. Parth, can you put on your cam? So you're going to take two pictures.
Parthiv,
So first one is give a best smile. Say cheese, everyone.
hey,
Thank you. And we will have one more picture. Give me a moment. I need to save this picture. And here we go. Give your best gesture if you like. What did you like about this panel discussion? So give your best gesture, and then here we go. We click one more picture.
thumbs up.
Thank you so much. We are done. Thanks everyone. Thanks for joining. Bye bye. And let me stop the
Thank
recording
you.
for the day.
Bye. Thank you.